So UFC 283 just wrapped up, and even though my pay-per-view curse continues where my predictions aren't so good, the card was pretty entertaining. We got a few things to talk about, such as two new champions, Glover Teixeira retiring, and the rest of the main card, and I'll briefly touch over the prelims. But first of all, we've got a normalized throwing in the towels. Most of the referees tried to be prime Mario Yamasaki tonight. Lauren Murphy, that she got messed up. We'll talk about it a bit more later, but the only thing scarier than her face at the end of that fight was Jessica Andrade's OnlyFans. And Glover, he's retired now. Respect to him for a great career, but he was getting brutalized. And I become like Dan Hardy and DC during this event. I was screaming at the TV, "Stop the fight! Stop the fight!" It's insane. But also UFC, I get Brazil crowds pretty lively, but let's not go back there for a while. They were pretty disrespectful to Moreno, and they left the arena at the end. So yeah, they don't deserve it. But let's start off by talking about our main event: Jamal Hill versus Glover Teixeira. Now, obviously, I made the video that's blown up recently. Thank you for all the support. I didn't expect it to do that well, but Jamal Hill absolutely outclassing Glover Teixeira. Great takedown defense. The only time Glover got him down properly was in round 5, and he managed to sweep him and get on top. So, great performance there. Now, I don't think Jamal Hill is going to stick around as champ for a long time. I'll actually do a video breaking down his chances against the light heavyweight division, but he is our champ. He is the first UFC champion from the Dana White Contender Series, so that's an accomplishment in itself. But yeah, great performance. He outclassed Glover. He was great on the takedown defense. I don't think many of us expected him to defend the takedown defense, obviously after what Paul Craig did and what Thiago Santos did. And yeah, Glover, I know he got rocked a few times, and as they pointed out on commentary, it wasn't actually the strikes. Well, it was the strikes, but it wasn't the jabs and the punches that were hitting him. It was that kick, and he was switching stances very well and throwing that kick. And I was very impressed by his performance. I think a lot of people would be impressed by his performance, and he certainly silenced a lot of critics in my mind. And even though I don't think he's going to be champ for a long time, we've probably got Pereira coming for revenge. It was a great performance, and we can't take that away from him. You could see the emotion on his face when he finally realized he was the champion. He was actually crying. Anything is possible. And I'm glad we have a champion and won't be pulling out because he's got 6 kids. So, and respect to Glover for staying. I think that fight should have been stopped. Mark Goddard turned into Yamasaki. He wanted to see Glover go into the bloody retirement home. And it was very hard to watch a 43-year-old get brutalized like that. CT is probably rife in his head now. I thought he was just going to collapse, but he didn't. And he was throwing some bombs of his own. So, respect to him. I'm glad he got this one final showing in Brazil. Unlike Jose Aldo, screw you, Marab. But, I'm glad he got this one final showing in Brazil. And on one hand, I'm upset we never got Glover Yuri 2. But at the same time, I think that first fight was lightning in a bottle. And it probably wouldn't have been the same. But, respect to Glover. He's had a great career. Not a lot. I'll probably do a more in-depth video breaking down his career. We've got a week off of UFC, so I've got a few video ideas. But, yeah, just respect to Glover for an amazing career. He won that belt at such an old age. I think he was 42 when he won the belt, I believe. I don't think any of us expected him to do it, and he almost beat Yuri. So, respect to him, and we'll have to see what Jamal Hill does as champion now. But I don't want to speculate too much right now. Moving on to our co-main event, which has a bit of controversy around it. Of course, Moreno, our new flyweight champ, well done to him. Great performance. He was schooling Figgy, and Figgy wasn't going to win that fight unless he got a knockout or submission. So, respect to Moreno, but the controversy comes from, was it an eye poke or was it not? That cut was pretty bad. I am a bit annoyed the doctor stopped it, but I can see why. But at the same time, if you're stopping that and you're not stopping Glover versus Hill, it's a bit bit questionable, but there we are. Figgy is going up to bantamweight. That's another video I'll be doing, breaking down his chances at bantamweight. I'm not sure how he does at bantamweight. I'm going to have a bit more time to think about that. But Moreno is finally flyweight king. A lot of people think he won that third fight. I personally didn't, but your own opinion is your own opinion. And it was a great performance by him. He was getting the takedowns a lot, and apart from that second fight, I don't think we've seen many takedowns from Moreno on Figgy. So respect to him, and he seemed to be taking a lot more shots. He seemed to be a lot more patient in his striking, and he did say he wanted to be more aggressive, but it seemed that patience won him. Figgy, it reminded me of Ortega Volkanovski as well a bit, because Figgy had that really deep guillotine. He dived in on it, and I seen Moreno go red, and I was thinking, oh Christ, here we go, this is it. But Moreno got out of it and kept on going, and ultimately he's flyweight champ. I imagine Moreno Pantoja is next. Will it be the second or third fight? I'm not quite sure, but I believe that's what we'll see next. And Figgy's moving up the bantamweight now. The flyweight division can finally move on. I'm glad Figgy's going up the bantamweight, because they probably would have found a way to do a fifth fight between these two. And yeah. And then our featured fight, Gilbert Burns, Neil Magny. Not the fight we wanted to see. Gilbert Burns absolutely schooling Neil Magny, submitting him in the first round. It wasn't even close. Neil Magny, I said this was going to happen. I thought it was going to be a decision, but ultimately, it wasn't a decision. Sorry, I was reading about Glover's retirement then, because I accidentally unplugged the TV as they were announcing the winner, so I had to confirm it and make sure that all I've recorded isn't useless. But yeah, Burns schooling him. Neil Magny, I'm not sure where he goes from here. He can't really fight the winner of Jeff Neal versus Shavkat, because he's already got dominated by Shavkat, and he's already fought Jeff Neal. I suppose they could do another fight between Jeff Neal and Neil Magny if they really wanted to. But Neil Magny's game to fight anyone. I respect it. Maybe do Neil Magny versus Vicente Luque, but I feel like we've seen that before. But if we haven't, that's the fight to make. I'll be doing fights to make this week as well. Gilbert Burns now, where does he go? He called out Covington, but I wanted to fight Masvidal. Masvidal versus Burns is the fight we should have got tonight, but unfortunately we didn't. I don't want to go too much into it, but UFC 287, let's do Burns versus Masvidal. I almost said Burns versus Magny. And then moving on to the women's fight on the main card. This was hard to watch. Entourage versus Laura Murphy. Could have stopped the fight plenty of times, but the referee turned into Prime Yamasaki again, just absolutely letting Entourage beat the living daylights out of Laura Murphy. It was a difficult watch. Plenty of times. I think that was the one where DC turned into Dan Hardy. He was like, stop the fight! Stop the fight! But yeah, Laura Murphy's face, I mean, she wasn't a good looking girl anyway, but now she's looking worse than Jessica Entourage's OnlyFans, and I don't want to put that image into your head, but if you haven't seen it, oh, it's a sight, let me tell you. So Jessica Entourage, this was at women's flyweight. She wants a title shot at women's strawweight against Zhang, but not only did Zhang school her the first time, how is winning at women's flyweight gonna get you a fight at strawweight? But I mean, they all mesh together. I actually had a bit of a scare with Nunes and what's the French woman's name? You know the one I'm on about. That looked like the meme when the short person is being held back and he's trying to hit all of his mates and he can't. It reminded me of that. I had a bit of a scare, and it's women's MMA. It can go either way, but luckily my prediction started off well. But the pay-per-view curse, if you don't know about my pay-per-view curse, you're about to find out if you like, comment, share, and subscribe. So, we'll get into that. And then, Paul Craig and Johnny Walker. Paul Craig didn't walk out the quiet little voices, and I think that's where he went wrong. Paul Craig, he hired this new striking coach. He was bringing out intensity, and his striking didn't look half bad. I mean, it wasn't the best, but it was better than what we'd seen. And Johnny Walker, he caught a kick, and I was thinking, yes, Paul, get him down, use your jiu-jitsu. And he got a broken nose and brutalized. Johnny Walker went on to do the worm and celebrate in Johnny Walker fashion. Paul Craig, I don't know where Paul Craig goes from here. It's tough to do for Paul Craig. Obviously, I'll be doing him in Fights to Make next. But I love Paul Craig to bits. He's one of my favourite fighters, probably because of that Scottish heritage. But if he's fighting like this, he needs to. I don't know where he goes from here. I'll have to think about this. But Johnny Walker, good win. I'm not saying we're going to get the Johnny Walker back before his chin started going all funny, but we could see a little bit of a mid-ranking spot for him. Now that Jamal Hill being champ once again, I don't really know who's going to. I imagine Magomed or Pereira, if he comes up, will beat him. Maybe Jan, but the rest of the light heavyweight division might have to wait their turn. We'll probably be waiting for Yuri to come back, because I imagine a run back Blachowicz versus Ankleev, but we'll have to see. And then, if we just gloss over the prelims quickly, we had some highlights on the prelims. Let me tell you, we had, of course, hold on, let me get up the prelims card. I did have it up and it's gone off now. The prelims, running through the prelims, we had the retirement of Shogun. That was pretty hard to watch, and Ihor Peteria done his little dance, and I seen on Oscar Willis's Instagram that the reason he done it was he was doing his dance, and obviously he did the gun and he pointed up in the air and he shot it, and that was him saying Shogun's a warrior. I'm not gonna shoot Shogun, but you just look like a knob, mate, and you fight cans. He said he was the future of the division. I mean, he's just TKO'd a out of prime Shogun that was retiring in the first round. Hardly sees the future of the division, but we'll have to see where he goes. Gregory Rodriguez versus Bruno Ferreira. I wanted to bet on Bruno Ferreira so bad, but I just thought he's stepping in on short notice, and it's why I should trust my instincts, because Bruno Ferreira, one punch knockout, sending RoboCop to the Shadow Realm. It was nasty. It was brutal. RoboCop sent into another dimension. Bruno Ferreira on a roll. Bruno Ferreira is going to work his way up the division now. I imagine they probably wanted to rebook Rodriguez versus Tavares, but I imagine now Ferreira will get the Tavares matchup. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens there. Thiago Moises submitting Melaquazil Costa, however you say his name. I bet on Costa. I thought the upset was going to come here. This was one of my stupid picks. I knew straight away as soon as I said that Moises was going to win it, but for some reason I just stuck with Costa, and it backfired. But Costa looked good in the first round until the takedown started adding up. But he looked good in the first round. I'm not saying he's going to get to the top of the lightweight division. He probably won't. Maybe he won't get ranked, but there's some good matchups for him there. We've got Bobby Green versus Jared Gordon on the horizons, but who knows? Maybe we could give him the loser of that and the winner of that, Moises. I don't know. I'm sure Moises and Bobby Green have already fought. And then one half of the Bonfim brothers, or Bonfim, we'll get to the other one later, but Gabriel Bonfim, brilliant jiu-jitsu, under a minute, tapping out Lazez, amazing. Not a lot I can say about that, but he jumped onto the guillotine, took him down, rolled over, cranked on it, straight away got a tap. Beautiful. We can see why he's undefeated. I feel like the Bonfim brothers are going to go far in the division. And they both, no, one's welterweight, one's lightweight, but they're going to go far. Abdulman Rakhmonov versus Jayton Almeida. Jayton Almeida, I feel like, is on Costa's secret juice. Dominating performance. He's going to be a problem for the division. I don't know how he fares against the top guys like Jones coming back and Cyril Gane and all of them. Bit of a spoiler, I'm going to do a video breaking down the heavyweight division soon, but he could be a problem for the division. We've got some big things. We've got some big things. Well, we have got some big things coming up in the heavyweight division, but he's a big name coming through that I feel like will weed out some of the lesser names at the bottom of the division. And, we could get pretty far in the division, but I feel like if he runs into someone like Curtis Blades, that's going to be a good matchup when it happens, if it happens. And then, of course, the other Bond. Oh, no, sorry. We had however you say his name, versus Cody Stamann. I had Lasada or Lasarada, however you say his name, winning this fight. Maybe I'll do a more in-depth breakdown if that's something you want to see, but personally, I had him winning this fight. Stamann didn't do enough for me. He won round two, but I feel like rounds 1 and 3 should have gone to Lasada. But hey, I'm not the judges, and they were pretty spot on tonight with most things, but we didn't actually need them a lot. And then Bonfirm versus McKinney, Ismail Bonfirm. Oh my god, McKinney in the Shadow Realm. Wow, especially with his mouthpiece flying out. He's a lucky man, but this has got early knockout of the year written over it. Very impressed by his performance, and he was out schooling McKinney as well. He was really schooling him before the knockout took place. McKinney wasn't looking very good, and I'm excited to see where Bonfim goes, but I'm more excited to see where McKinney goes because he had all this hype around him, and yeah, I don't know where he goes from here. Maybe him versus Paddy Pimblett's the fight to make. Moises calling out Paddy Pimblett. I don't think they'll give Pimblett Moises. So McKinney vs Pimblett, maybe that's the fight to make. Who knows? Wally Alvarez losing a decision to Nicholas Dalby. This was a good scrap. Nicholas Dalby getting a decision here. Not a lot to say. It was a good scrap. Dalby didn't do his usual. I'm losing the first round and then this and that. So yeah, good decision, good scrap. Excited to see where Dalby goes. I've been a bit of a Dalby fan anyway, so I'm excited to see where he goes. Josiana Nunes versus Ferrain or Zara. I'm just going to call her Zara because that's her first name. I was talking about this earlier. You know, it was a funny scrap. Did give me a bit of an anxiety attack on my predictions, but it was a funny scrap. Women's MMA is a funny thing. I had a good laugh watching this. Um, yeah, not a lot to say apart from Nunes should probably move down to bantamweight because I feel like she's a bit small for featherweight and they only fight like once a year. Like, I don't know how tall she is and how tall Zara is, but that was pretty funny to watch the height difference. And then obviously we started the prelims with Simon Oliveira versus Daniel Marquez, or Marquez, is it? Let me check that out while I talk about this, but Daniel Marquez, great performance by Marquez. Oliveira looked out of place, throwing spinning back fists like they were going out of fashion. Marquez putting him down in the second round pretty easily. Entertaining scrap, even though it was pretty one-sided. And yeah, Marquez still undefeated. Excited to see what he does next. But yeah, those were my initial thoughts and recap. I'll probably do a more structured recap on the main event and the co-main event and actually lay out my thoughts. But as you know, I like to just give my quick predictions and rundowns off the cuff, which is why it's a little less structured and I'm pausing and saying stuff. But thanks for the support recently. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.